On my Travel Wins podcast today is Chris Castellano. Chris is a travel fitness specialist and the author of a book called Fittest Travel. He's also the founder of Fittest Travel. His book is available on his website at www.fittesttravel.com or on Amazon. Chris has spent years training himself and others in functional fitness, bodyweight training, calisthenics, and Crossfit. He started Fittest Travel to help travelers stay fit and healthy while on the road. Chris served in the United States Army and Army Reserve since 2007. He served in Iraq from 2008 to 2009 while being deployed with a reconnaissance platoon. He worked on Wall Street for 2 years before becoming a New York City firefighter starting in 2016. The book discusses several subjects I felt would benefit my listeners and anyone that travels for their work. Some of the key subjects are why you need to be working out while you travel, how to pack and plan for fitness away from home, travel workouts that you can do anywhere, where the best hotel gyms in the world are. Here's a key one, folks, how to beat jet lag. He also provides nutrition strategies that will help lose weight and keep it off, what apps and fitness gears are perfect for the travel life, and what it takes to be an athletic nomad. You can reach him on his Twitter at Castellano Chris, on Instagram at Functionally Elite, or his email, chris@fittesttravel.com. Here you go, guys. Here's my podcast with Chris Castellano.
Hey, on my Travel Wins podcast, I have author Chris Castellano, who wrote a great book called Fit for Travel. And when I saw the title, Chris, I was just like, this is a guy I have to talk to. Chris's background, from what I can see, is in the Army, actually served in Iraq, worked on Wall Street, and now he's a New York City firefighter.
That's right.
How did that journey happen?
Yeah, I have a little bit of an unusual background, and I got asked about it a lot. I started off enlisting in the Army in 2007 after being in college for a few years. I wanted to experience combat. You know, it was at the height of the war in Iraq, and the global war on terrorism. I have family that were in the military. It was something that I kind of saw as a rite of passage, if you will, for a young, able-bodied male. So I joined in 2007 as a scout in the U.S. Army. I deployed to Iraq in 2008 in a reconnaissance platoon. And due to the nature of our work, it found us in some pretty austere environments for long periods of time.
Okay.
Yeah, so, no gym around, kind of having to improvise how you ate if you wanted to stay somewhat healthy. And that's where I really developed my fitness foundation. I learned to improvise. You're not always going to have access to treadmills and weight machines and all that stuff. And so I took an interest in bodyweight training, calisthenics, like push-ups and air squats and pull-ups, things like that you could really do anywhere with just your body weight. That's all you needed. And I found it to be incredibly effective. And the more I got into it, the more research I did, I started to realize, there really was something there with bodyweight training. It's something that's kind of glossed over within the fitness industry. There's such an emphasis on selling equipment.
I was going to say there's not as much money in bodyweight training as there is in equipment.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
And so there's obviously an interest for people who are trying to sell you gym memberships and equipment and all this stuff. So that's where I kind of developed that philosophy of constantly coming back to bodyweight training, even when I am at home, and I do have access to a gym. And then, of course, there's times when you're on the road and you have access to a great hotel gym. I still find myself coming back to bodyweight training. But just going back to my background, after I left active duty, I finished college at Boston University, and I ended up working on Wall Street for Morgan Stanley for a few years. And then that's where I really got exposed to the business travel lifestyle. And I found a lot of similarities, however, between that and what I was doing in the military, as far as not always having access to a gym, having a very busy schedule. I really found myself having to prioritize fitness and finding times during my day to fit it in. Sometimes it was doing things, a little unorthodox, like, a bodyweight workout, some push-ups in the airport even. And, you get some funny looks, of course, people, you may think that's strange, but, I didn't care. I was getting in, some semblance of a workout. I felt great after that, physically and mentally. And I realized that, this was something that wasn't really available to people who live that frequent travel lifestyle. I looked into it. I started fitness blogging a little bit about my, bodyweight workouts. And I found I was getting a lot of questions from business travelers, especially ones that I worked with in finance, about how they could, take that fitness routine with them on the road. And that's where I developed my website, Fittest Travel, back in 2016. Kind of built a platform as a place where travelers can go to for information on staying fit. And then that's where the book was born out of, Fit for Travel. It just came out last month. And it kind of, wraps up everything that I've been kind of covering on the website over the past 2 years. So, I hope it's a good resource for travelers to take with them. It's small paperback. They could throw it in their bag and have it with them. And it really covers a lot of the important topics for people who are traveling a lot and want to, maintain a fitness routine away from home.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
It seems like, and I'm a little older now, and the people I talk to as are older travelers, I'm trying to really reach out to younger people. And I'll give you, I was just on my podcast earlier this week with Smush Parker. He was an NBA, played for the Lakers, Clippers, Cavaliers, played overseas for 10 years. And I talked to him about diet when you're traveling, especially overseas. And, he and I had a very similar, it's like when you're in your 20s, you just eat whatever, because you think, I'm going to burn it off and I'm not worried about it. And all of a sudden it starts catching up to you because you've created these, 15, 20 year long bad habits of eating terrible food. And all of a sudden your body isn't processing and burning as fast. So how do you think, and the same thing with fitness when you travel, when you're younger, you go, I'm in shape. Or at least, okay, let me rephrase that. At least that's how I was.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I played football, I wrestled, did all that, and all of a sudden it was like I was just always in shape. And then into my 40s and now my early 50s, it's I have to be consciously aware of my fitness, of my diet. How do we get younger people? Do you think, just an opinion? I know it's not in your book, but how do you reach out to a younger person and say, this does matter? Because I mean, like you were saying, I find when I exercise a little bit in an airport or like before I leave the hotel, if I'm going to fly for 6 hours, I relax better, even though I've just worked out. My muscles are now like, okay, time to relax, versus being antsy on a plane, which is terrible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, selling it to younger travelers, that's always going to be tough. I'm 32 now, so I think I've kind of crossed that threshold. Obviously going from your 20s to your 30s, I feel like that, it's a kind of a turning point in a lot of ways.
Just wait.
I'm sure there's more to come. But it's tough to sell it to younger travelers. It definitely is. In your 20s, you have a different mindset. You're a lot more focused on having fun. Like you were saying, your body is a lot more tuned towards burning that fat, no matter what you're eating, really. You generally have at that age a higher, harder working metabolism, and gaining weight is less of a concern. I think for me, at least, what I tried to do, even when I was at that age in my 20s, and that's, again, going back to what I was saying about my background, I really did develop this, when I was in the Army in my early 20s. I just tried to develop those good habits early on, and I tried to take a long-term, view of why I was working out. Motivators for me were looking at people that were older, way down the road and, in their 70s, even their 80s. And I just saw as like a society, we generally tend to end up in nursing homes. We end up immobile. And, exercise, to me, it just always made sense that exercise could be a very strong preventative measure for, not allowing that to end up happening to us. And somebody who I had looked to when I was younger was Jack LaLanne. Huge, fitness icon. And, he passed away a few years ago. It was around that time when I was still in my 20s and kind of developing my own personal fitness philosophy. But he was somebody who, also just had always taken that long-term approach to fitness, that long-term view, even from a young age. And he continued it into his 90s. He was still, keeping a daily fitness routine up until the day he died. And that's just, how I tried to look at it. I knew that it was an investment that I was making in my 20s, and if I put in the time, now and develop those good habits, hopefully I would maintain them, and it would pay off down the road. That, trying to sell that to a young person in their 20s, that might be difficult, but that's what worked for me. And I, it's just an investment. You're making the biggest investment you could possibly make, and that's in yourself and in your own personal health.
Well, yeah, I mean, I turned 50 last year, and I was telling my friends I'm halfway.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's literally how I want to approach it. Is
yeah,
I'm halfway, and diet. And I have two daughters that just graduated college a year ago.
Oh, okay.
And so I talked to them about, and one went to Towson in Maryland, and the other one was here in California.
Mm-hmm.
But them and a lot of their friends, my younger daughter's been eating pretty clean for a while, but it's a lot of the information that I'm seeing out there on diet is crap. It's their lies in the sense of, this is good for you, this is good for you, here's your food pyramid. And, the information is so much more available now than when I was a kid. I actually apologized to my daughters. I said, you know what you know, processed meats and this and that, and the amount of sugars and salts that they're putting in food. When I travel, I'm up and down the state, and I'm trying to find better places to eat. It's tough. There are some small towns that don't believe in a plant-based diet, let's just say.
Right. Yeah. It is tough.
And your book goes over diet. I mean, that's why I'm bringing this up, is your book's not just about do push-ups and do squats. It's kind of you got a whole plan. Yeah.
I mean, there was no way I was going to write a book about fitness without mentioning, the nutritional aspect to it. It's critical. I mean, we've all heard it before that you can't out-train a bad diet, and it's definitely true to an extent. You have to maintain sound nutritional practices, and you have to be adaptive if you're traveling a lot.
Yeah.
There's going to be times where there's terrible food options available to you, and there's a couple of ways that you can deal with that, and I talk about it in the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the most critical things you can do is packing right before you even leave. If I'm traveling, without a doubt, I know that I'm going to be buying healthy travel snacks. There's no way I'm leaving on any trip of any duration without having some healthy snacks, packed in my carry-on. I prefer protein bars. I like to stick to a high protein diet. I think protein is very important for giving us that body composition that we all tend to want, a nice lean, little bit of muscle, Protein bars, there's tons of them out there. It's become a huge industry. You have to really dive into the ingredients and the nutritional specs when you're looking at them. Some of them are, basically candy bars.
Yeah.
But if you're buying the right ones, some of them are great, and they're some of the best travel snacks you could have with you. And I mention a few by name in the book and on the website. RX Bar is a personal favorite of mine. Quest Bar, another one. These bars tend to use minimal ingredients, and they're not loaded with things like sugars. And, and that's really what you want to look for, something like that. There's also, you can do like mixed nuts, dried fruits, things like that. But it's huge. You definitely have to have, healthy snacks packed before you leave. It's half the battle in eating right when you're on the road. There's going to be times when you're hungry and there are no food options available to you. If you have those snacks between that, and then another thing I like to do is staying well hydrated all the time, but especially when I travel. I always have water with me. And personally, I prefer cold water. I love to have cold water with me, so I use a Hydro Flask. Keeps water cold for like almost 24 hours. It's incredible.
Hydro Flask?
A Hydro Flask, yeah.
Hydro Flask, okay.
Yeah, really, really awesome water bottle. It's insulated, and something like 24 hours, your water will actually stay cold. It's pretty incredible. But so between those two things right there, you're going to be in a much better position to stick to a somewhat healthy nutritional eating pattern when you're on the road. If you're consuming healthy travel snacks, like protein bars and mixed nuts, and you're well hydrated, you're going to be much, much less likely to have that hungry feeling where you almost get to that desperate point where you're like, oh, you know what? I'm so hungry and eat fast food. I don't even care at this point. That's the point where you don't want to end up there. So what I've found is, healthy snacks and staying hydrated, essential to avoiding ever getting to that point. And then one other thing that I kind of talk about in depth in the book is a personal eating strategy that I like, which is called intermittent fasting. And I found that it works really good for travel, especially for those moments where, you're dealing with limited healthy food options. And intermittent fasting basically involves periods of time where you're not consuming any food. And as far as drinking, you're only drinking water, black coffee, or tea with no milk, sugar, nothing like that. And keeping your body in that fasted state like that will help you burn fat at a higher rate. And ultimately, if you look at, in a 24-hour window, if you are remaining fasted for between, say, 12 and 16 hours, and you're only eating within an 8-hour window during the day, you're going to be taking in, less calories, less fat, less sugars, and it's a good eating strategy for weight loss for people who travel a lot. So, to kind of go into detail about it, there's good science behind it. They've done some research on it, and it's a strategy that I personally use, and I found that it works really well. And it's super easy because it's all you're doing is not eating. It's not like you have to go and find a particular type of food. You don't have to do any of that. You just simply, from the time you wake up in the morning, you're just extending that time where you're in a fasted state a few hours, and it works really well for travel.
I've been doing that for a little bit now, actually.
Oh, nice.
About the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And it's the same way. And I'm a total non-expert on nutrition and diet and all that. Totally non-expert. But it seems like, how they have there are other reasons for it, but the stomach surgery.
Yes.
I forget what they call it now.
Gastric bypass, I think, right?
Yeah, gastric bypass.
Yeah.
So, and it seems like, that's basically by getting that surgery, you're kind of doing that, where your body can only take so much food.
Right, exactly.
And the fasting part, whether it's one day a week that you do it or there's different people that have done different fasting periods. I like the intermittent fasting because it's just, you just put off eating for 4 hours, an extra 4 or 5 hours.
Exactly.
You let your body burn through. Or I'm really cognizant of the night snacks.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in a hotel room, like I am right now, you're sitting by yourself watching TV or work on the computer, and you go down to the hotel lobby, and all they have are typically crap snacks.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you bring them up to your room and you just start snacking, and it's 11 o'clock at night and you're eating Doritos and other not great things for you.
Yeah, that mindless snacking, and that's a huge problem. It's those extra calories that you start taking in. A lot of people will have no problem, sticking to well-balanced meals and actually doing pretty well. But then, like you said, you end up in the hotel room by yourself. It's late. Maybe you're sitting there watching TV, and you get into that mindless snacking period, and that's where those extra calories add up. And foods like that, those vending machine snacks, you also have to look at the value that you're getting out of food. I try to look at everything that I eat and look at what's the value in it. How is it good for me? And if there is nothing, like a lot of those snacks, if not, in fact, most of those snacks, why take it in? Why consume it? Your body's not getting anything good out of it. It's just putting empty calories in you. And adopting maybe that type of view of food, especially those types of snacks, is really, I think, important in developing the way you look at food. It's an energy source, and it's a source of nutrition and vitamins and all the things that our body actually needs. And if you're consuming food that's devoid of all of that, you're not doing yourself any good. So the mindset you try to develop as well.
Well, paraphrase, but my old jiu-jitsu professor, he hit on Gracie. The Gracie diet is basically juices and fruits.
Yep.
And I remember one of the people in my class said, "How can you eat just fruits and juices?" He goes, "Because I don't look at food as a pleasure. I look at it as I'm going to the gas station. You know, do you know what's in the gas that you put in your car? He goes, no. He goes, but you know you need it to get by.
Right.
You know, to go down the road. He goes, I look at food the same way. I'm not looking to. He goes, I enjoy good meals and this and that, but the majority of my diet is I'm just trying to get fuel, get my body to go to do what I want it to do. And it was just a mindset. And you know, and the Gracie Diet, you know, from Helio was 70 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just what they grew up eating. And I think that's where we get into a lot of problems with our culture is food. Oh, you have to enjoy it and this tastes great and add salt to it. And, you know, it's an experience versus just what it's supposed to be is just to get you to go on and move on.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. I mean, you know, of course, you know, I love good food. I think we all do. I mean, but you know, you have to, like you said, really adopt that mindset that, you know, eating food really should not always be about, you know, the pleasure that's involved with it. It's about nourishing your body and getting, you know, the nutrition that you need and really fueling up. I mean, at the end of the day, we're machines. Our bodies are machines. And you know, they need a certain fuel source, an energy source, and food is what it is. And if you can somewhat develop that mindset, you know, I think that's a big part of getting someone on the right path to, you know, adopting a sound nutrition philosophy and you know, those right eating habits.
Yeah. Well, same thing with fitness. You know, I mean, you know, as kids, you have to go to PE class. Or take an extracurricular, you know, whether it's football, wrestling, whatever, cross country, lacrosse.
Yeah.
But then when you get out of high school or college, you don't have to do those things, and a lot of people stop doing anything.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's where I think your Fit Travel book is great because it talks about you don't have to go to the hotel gym or find a gym. It's the bodyweight training, that type of thing. That's the easy stuff.
Yeah, you know, it really is awesome because of like you said, it's easy because you can do it anywhere, and yet the level of effectiveness that you're going to get out of bodyweight training, from what I've seen, is in most cases superior to the other training that you're going to be getting, even in a great hotel gym. You know, from what I see with most travelers, the ones that do stick to fitness routines, they look for a hotel gym. They get in there, they jump on a treadmill or the elliptical, and they move their body around a little bit, and they focus on the amount of calories they burn.
Yeah.
And that's great that they're doing some type of exercise. I mean, if somebody's exercising at all, I don't care what it is, that's great. I'm happy for them that they're doing the right thing. But for me personally, I like to get the most I can out of a workout in the shortest period of time. And that's especially critical for traveling because you're already dealing with a busy schedule and you're away from home and you probably don't have access to a gym. And what I found is bodyweight training and you know, building muscle with compound movements like push-ups and air squats and pull-ups and burpees. These things are vastly superior to just simple cardio because you're actually forcing your muscles to work as well. You're going to be burning way more calories. You're going to burn more fat. You're going to increase your metabolism, and for hours after your workout's done, too. People tend to focus on the number of calories they burn during that half hour on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you do a high-intensity bodyweight workout right in your hotel room, your body's metabolism it's going to be jacked. It's going to be at an elevated level for 24 or even 48 hours after your workout's complete because you've worked those muscles. You've built some strength, and now your body needs to recover and rebuild that. And it does that by using calories. That's how it generates the energy to do that. So that's something that I've found that it just works. It works perfect for travelers. You know, you can do these bodyweight workouts right in your hotel room. You don't have to find the hotel gym. You don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to worry about being at the mercy of finding a hotel gym or even a gym in the area. You know, if you just have a little bit of space in your hotel room, you can do these workouts, and you can do them in as little as 20 minutes or even less than that. And you get yourself a tremendous workout.
I had read that men, specifically just with our body types and hormones and whatever, a higher intensity workout is better for you than the extended run. as far as your like I said, your hormones and everything else.
Yeah, I've seen that research too. It's been a big thing, especially as high intensity interval training has become increasingly popular. And a lot of the science shows that if you exercise at high intensity for even just 1 minute, you're going to get all the benefits of that steady state cardio that lasts 45 minutes. And if you extend that, that 1 minute into maybe a 10, 15, 20 minute workout, the benefit is going to be far more than if you, do that steady state cardio on a treadmill for a half hour. Because really, you're not engaging, the muscle groups like you are if you're actually building some strength with movements like push-ups and squats. That's those multi-joint compound movements. They're forcing your body to generate way more energy because you're using these muscle groups in ways that you're not doing if you're just running on a treadmill. And if you are, a big fan of running and that's something that you like to do, and I talk about it a little bit in the book, is sprinting versus steady state cardio.
Right, exactly.
And that it ties into the same thing, that higher intensity, getting that heart rate up even more and, really elevating that metabolism in your body. I mean, it's, you're just generating way more heat, way more energy than you are if you're just doing that steady state cardio for longer distances. So that's something that, if you do like to, use the treadmill, consider getting on there and trying some sprint intervals instead of just slogging it out for 45 minutes, which, by the way, is, I think most people can agree, is incredibly boring.
Before the technology of cell phones and the music streaming, it was really boring.
Yeah, that has helped a lot. That's true. You're right.
Running with a Walkman on was not good.
Yeah, that's true.
Now we have the Bluetooth headsets that are just off. That's what when I go fishing or if I go for a bike ride, these Bluetooth headphones are awesome.
Yeah, they are. They're great. I use them for my workouts too. Sometimes I'll listen to music, and I've even gotten into doing like audiobooks while I work out too. It's and that's that goes back into finding what motivates you to work out. If you like to listen to music or if you like to listen to audiobooks or podcasts while you work out, find something that's really going to keep you engaged and keep you accountable. You're not going to miss those workouts because you're looking forward to listening to some of your favorite songs, or you want to finish a chapter of your audiobook, and you're only allowed to do that when you work out. Setting little guidelines like that for yourself goes a long way in keeping you accountable.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time. And some of the other things you go over in the book, just so the listeners hear it, is how to beat jet lag, which is huge. You have the nutrition strategies, what apps and fitness gears are good for travelers. So it's not just do push-ups, do sit-ups. It's really, you kind of took a well-rounded look at traveling and fitness.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about, this travel fitness space, which is kind of emerging, it's becoming more of a thing as people travel more and they care more about health and fitness. There are a ton of options for travelers looking to stay fit. And, you and I talked a lot about bodyweight training and that's just something that I personally love to do, and that's my typical go-to. But there are so many options for travelers now, and they're becoming more and more prevalent. And, I tried to cover all of that in the book. I kind of go over some of the really great fitness apps that are out there that are perfect for travelers. And there's even cool, fitness gear that's made specifically for travelers now. And just some of the things that I mentioned in there are a backpack that you could actually convert into a workout tool. It has water bladders in it that you can fill up, and that you can increase the weight, and then you can use it basically like a barbell or even like a sandbag for weight training or weight style training.
Or you could probably use it as a weighted vest for burpees and.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
It has straps. It has handles on it. Things like that. Suspension trainers like the TRX and monkey bars that you can travel with, and you could throw them in your carry-on. They take up next to no space. And then when you get to your home, yeah, and they're awesome. That you'll get a really, really effective workout with these things, and they're super light. You can travel with them. You can throw them up right in your hotel room, and there's just the point is that there's a ton of options for travelers looking to stay fit. whatever fitness style you're into, I guarantee there's something out there that you can take with you on the road. It's just a matter of, getting all that information into one spot, and that's what I tried to do with Fit for Travel.
Yeah. How do we go up? How can the listeners get your book?
So if you go to my website, fittesttravel.com, there's links to buy the book. It's available on Amazon right now. You can also go directly to Amazon and search for Fit for Travel, Travel Fitness Book. It's up there right now. It's a #1 new release in business travel references right now.
Oh, congrats.
So yeah, thank you. So it's available on Amazon in paperback or an ebook if you prefer to read it on your Kindle or on iBooks on your iPhone. But it's on Amazon. Fit for Travel, your guide to losing weight and feeling great while traveling.
Perfect. Hey, how great is it to see a labor of love in a book on Amazon and out there available for sale?
I'm sorry?
How cool is it for you to have something that you probably worked on for years?
Yeah.
That's now available on Amazon.
Yeah, it really is awesome. And I building the website over the course of 2.5 years and kind of developing the idea for this book and working on it and everything that goes into making it happen. That part's great, but I love when I hear from people who have bought the book, especially people who I didn't know already. People who have bought the book and they just say how it's helping them and how they're enjoying reading it and how they're excited to change their travel routine and prioritize fitness more. And I mean, that to me is the best part. I just if it's helping anyone prioritize health and fitness a little bit more and get into better shape and be healthier while they're traveling, that's the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about the podcast. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's super cool to just reach out to people and know that you're making some type of impact. That's definitely the best part.
So give my listeners one last the website, the Instagram page, and any other contact info. Yeah,
it's fittesttravel.com is the website. That's FITTESTTRAVEL.com. The Instagram handle is the same thing. It's fittest_travel. And we're also on Twitter, Fittest Travel as well. And again, the book is Fit for Travel, and it's available on Amazon.
Hey, Chris, man, I truly appreciate the time. I know you're a busy guy, so thank you, and thanks for sharing all the information you're gleaming. I truly appreciate it. Maybe we can talk again a little down the road, see how the book's going on. Are you planning a part 2 or anything like that, or just kind of soaking in the first one?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at some of the feedback I'm getting from readers and figuring out which direction to go into next. I have a few ideas. A few of the readers have pointed out specific chapters in the book that they would like to see expanded on.
Okay.
So I think more than likely what we'll see is, as far as follow-ups, will be an expansion of things like, beating jet lag, and then maybe an expansion on where the best hotel gyms are in the world. So that's probably what I'm looking at right now. But yeah, definitely looking at what's next. I'd like to get a little more granular on some of the topics that I cover in the book. So yeah, there will be more to come.
Perfect. Well, maybe we can chat when that comes out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Pete. Great conversation.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the time, buddy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, take care.